Yeah, I'm
You're
not.
deranged.
No,
I do.
no. What you consider yourself Jewish and Jewish as a
I'm a
distinct people?
European.
Well, this is
They weren't there versus what happens if they're there. That leads to nonsensical results.
Oh, welcome to the Babscast. Can you hear me? Happy Rosh Hashanah, everyone. Happy New Year. Philip? Good to see you. So, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing today?
Wait, can you hear me? I'm using the mic on my headphones.
Yeah, how are you doing today? I'm live.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Is my audio like really bad or
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
awesome?
So, how are you? Happy Rosh Hashanah. What's on your mind?
I'm just kind of hungover.
You're kind of what?
Hungover.
Oh, totally. I feel. Give me a second. I'll set the camera up in a moment.
What's up, Philip?
Just setting the stream up.
Philip, how have you been, dude?
Here it is. Oh, you have to leave in 2 minutes. Well, before you leave, is there anything are there any new songs that you'd like to present, or any comments that you'd like to make about this lovely 2019 Rosh Hashanah? So, Fletcher,
What's up?
what's on your mind? Happy Rosh Hashanah, first of all, and second
Thanks.
of all,
Same to you.
since it's the new year, is there anything in particular that you'd like to?
A bunch of dumb racist things, and he didn't even believe in the underlying nationalist or populist principles. Perhaps there's a chance of that. I'm not saying necessarily.
That's like the
he could have
Wignat
just been like,
dude.
what? That he got up on stage and he was like, I'm gonna say a bunch of. I mean, it just seemed odd.
Yeah.
Like when he said oh, they're rapers. Some of them are good people. Like, why couldn't he just gone up on that stage and said, we need to put the American people first. We need to implement slightly more protectionist measures so that American industry can be preserved, and we need to basically the stuff that Andrew Yang says. Like, why couldn't he get up there and be like intelligent, good optics, right. Saying what he actually believes. And that's because I don't think he even necessarily believes in putting the American people first. I think what he believes in is like pandering to people who he perceives as dumb, racist xenophobes in order to stay in office. Although that could just be me.
Dude, that's like the Washington Post / Daily Stormer narrative.
Maybe
that's where they converge, is believing those things about Trump. But I don't know. I don't think that's true. I think
I don't think Trump's explicitly smart enough to even conceive of it in those terms, but I think that there may have been a bit of that going on. I think, I don't know. Like, look, compare the old clips of him talking to the way he talks at rallies. I think he actually has a bit of contempt for the American people, despite the fact that he himself is almost like King America, like King Burger, with his silly fucking McDonald's and his, vulgar, nouveau riche, garish, disgusting aesthetics. He's like a peasant who struck it big in the lottery is his aesthetic. But like, despite that, I still think he has contempt for average Americans, and perhaps.
Well, I mean, I'll put it this way. I mean, his opposition certainly has contempt for Americans, so he must be doing something right. Right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being silly here, but I'm not sure. Your friend says Bannon and Miller wrote those speeches. What, the speeches where he said like racist stuff or like thinly veiled like xenophobic shit? I mean, let's see. I think that I don't know. I think that there's just as much reason to think that Trump is this person who's going to put Americans first. I think there's just as much reason to believe that Tulsi Gabbard or Yang, or maybe not Tulsi, but like Yang at least is similar in that regard. There's no reason not to believe it, and just as easily, both of these people could be completely inauthentic in what they're saying. So I really am not sure.
Yang like will tweet about how like, oh, immigrants are being scapegoated for like what's actually being caused by automation.
I mean, don't you think that's true? Don't you think that's not horseshit? That's not horseshit. That's not horseshit. Like, because if you no, stop. If you were like a peasant living in shitholistan, okay, and you are eating like 3 measly beans a day or whatever, okay, and suddenly there's this opportunity to go to America, which is like this much nicer country, and you can make more money, and not only that, but you can take some of the money and send it back to your family so they can live like kings and shitholistan. There's literally the push factors and the pull factors are all perfectly in place. You can't blame a person for walking through an open door. You blame the person who opens the door.
Oh, yeah, sure,
and the people who open the door, it's capitalism. It's capitalist. It's global capitalism. It's not like, oh, these evil people are coming in. It's fucking pure capitalism. So you need to attack capitalism in order to prevent this like mass movement of people or whatever. Welcome, Kyle. We have the Kyle fan club.
Oh shit! Hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah, but sorry.
Is someone attacking capitalism?
Someone
attacking capitalism over here?
Kyle,
I'll take you both on at once. Just first Fletcher go, then Kyle. Speak your speech.
One quick point. Let's say I accept all those premises, then it's still not rational to support open borders because you like that does nothing to negate the so-called pull factors or whatever. You know what I mean? But Yang does. He doesn't care about immigration at all. So it's like, fine, let's say it is capitalism that's pushing them here. Well, even then, I mean, how do you, if you're not going to mitigate the flow, then what the fuck are you talking about, Anyway, that was my point. Let's go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, open borders are a way to make money, but not a big way to make money. There are downsides as well. It basically makes labor cheaper for certain sectors. But I think that it's a much smaller deal than, for example, taxes. And you're seeing that the business motivated people are very right wing in America. So like if you're looking at the elite, the ones who are more business minded are very right wing compared to those who are more justice minded, right? Or philosophically minded. And I think that tells the story, right? They will abide at Trump. They'll even like a Trump because the Trump will lower their taxes and make it more difficult to get these laborers. But if that difficulty applies to everybody, then it's not such a big disaster. And you're seeing that for farmers supporting Trump, more generally speaking. Like, look at farmers, they generally support Trump, even though they're the primary beneficiaries of open borders, economically speaking.
Yeah, and I actually know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I know someone who's an ardent Trump supporter. He's a boomer in the 60s, and he owns a medium-sized contracting and construction firm. And basically, and he hires almost exclusively illegal or undocumented people. I'd say like over 60 to 70% of his workforce, at least probably something more like 80% of his workforce consists of people who are undocumented. And even then, despite that, he is pro-Trump, despite the fact that he says, with a caveat, even though like it would hurt my operation, da 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 da. I mean, I don't know. I think that a lot of business-minded people support Trump. It might have to do with the taxes, like you said. I think also some of it might just simply have to do with, and maybe this is just me projecting have to do with like the aesthetic, the fact that he represents like sort of like he's a businessman and he's like an more old school type of like
Testing. Okay. All right. Hello. One moment. Sorry, just you could give me a second. Welcome, Daniel. Good turn. Hello, testing.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello, testing. Hello, 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 testing. So, Daniel, what do you think of your Torah study stream, which you just realized?
What?
What do you think?
Quite pleasant to hear the readings. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
I'm getting set up here. I have to plug in some electricity to make sure that this thing doesn't die in a moment. So hang on while I'm getting situated.
What do you guys think of transhumanism and freezing the human brain? Like people who freeze their brains. Are you going to get your brain frozen, Daniel? How about you, Mark? Do you plan on getting your brain frozen, Mark?
No, man. Once it's over for me. Honestly, came on to make like a point against Kyle, and he wasn't even here. So
What
I
was
feel
your?
dumb now.
All right, fair enough. Do you have any? If you'd like to just air them right now, do you have any general points against Kyle that you'd like to make into the ether?
My only point against Kyle was that when he was talking about how farmers support Trump, it depends on what kind of farmer you're talking about, because agribusiness farmers don't support Trump.
What
It's
about
only
soybean
people-
farmers?
It's only people who are like farmers from Iowa who have nothing to do with basically that market of like picking various fruits or whatever. Like that's what he's talking about. And those farmers, I don't think they support Trump. Or if they do, it's because they're generally like small business farmers. And they're not like these agribusiness farmers who own like large swaths of land.
Do you think there's any chance of Trump winning the re-election?
Honestly, man, like I'm so burnt out on politics, I don't even care. Like,
have you seen The Joker yet?
Not yet, sir.
No, it's a great film. Have you seen it yet, Daniel?
I think he's still getting set up.
Oh, I see. Fair enough then. I hope James comes on from the chat. Maybe he has something for the Joker.
Dude, one thing that I can say against Kyle is that, like, what's his underlying worldview aside from productivity? Basically, like, what's the productivity orientated towards? What's the societal goal? Like, are we just being more productive to be more productive, or is there actually something here that is motivating this productivity. You know?
Productivity. Also, to what end? Productivity to what end?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. What productivity for what? For, like, the American empire? Like, I don't know, man.
Productivity for the shareholders.
Productivity for the shareholders so that we can get more money, and then what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with more money? More money doesn't solve our problems, dude. I mean, it's nice to have money. Everyone wants money, but also it's not really an end in, like, of itself. Am I live, by the way? Okay, cool. Space-time hit me with the tech there. Oh, my man Quantrell, my brother, he's in chat. Yeah, what's up, guys? I don't know. I literally thought Kyle was on stream. So
Yeah, I can hear every word you're saying.
I was a
I'm
dumbass
just-
and I just came on. But I guess I can stay now. I'll talk.
Yeah. I'm curious, what about Kyle draws? Like, what do you think is the most viscerally aggravating part of Kyle for you? Part of the Kyle
I
experience.
think it's the fact that he gets some things right and some things wrong, and it creates a worldview that's fundamentally like neoconservative, but at conflict with neoconservatism at the same time. So it's frustrating because he says he's no different from he's not very different from mainstream conservatism, but at the same time he is very different, and he tries to reconcile that by saying that he's the same, but really he's not at all the same. He just has some of the core values of mainstream conservatism with a different twist on it, which really, in light of the knowledge that he has, make no sense, because basically if you look at the world through whatever an HBD lens, then you're going to understand that people are not purely motivated by things such as what neoconservatives say drive people, such as pure profit motives. That's one thing that's frustrating to me. Also, group selection, I think he pretty much denies that exists. And I don't see how you can deny that exists. Or he says it's not really that impactful.
Yeah, actually, Bravo in the chat says Kevin McDonald apparently published a new book about Western liberalism and its history and politics from
Yeah,
a
he did. And I was
psychological perspective, which is interesting because last I heard, KMG had been rendered completely obsolete by the brilliant mind of Nathan Kaufman, that exposed KMG ultimately as the fraud that he is, and all of his research is now invalidated. Maybe I've just been watching too much of the Luke Ford show, but that's the last thing I heard.
Well, what's interesting about K-Mac is that before he researched Judaism, he was researching stuff like wolves, and child development and personality. So to say he's totally discredited based off of one section of his research, I think is kind of dumb.
Shoddy research. That's
well, he was
I'm
pretty basically
it's all shoddy research.
Yeah, basically he was pretty. I mean, he was pretty well respected for all of his other research, and he was actually well respected until probably his second book. So his first book on Judaism had great reviews, actually. So I think it's interesting that as soon starts to take a critical
I know,
perspective,
as
everyone
soon as he starts
shitting on him.
posting racist shit, people start getting mad at him. Weird how that works, isn't it? You know, it's
Yeah.
so hold on. Space Time DCR says the problem people have with Kyle is his refusal to engage with philosophy. That's an interesting way of putting it.
Well, I think that's a great point, Space Time. Yeah.
Apparently, Kyle mutes people on his streams when he doesn't like the other people talking over him. He mutes them.
But we should talk about I don't know, have you looked at like K-Mac's most recent book? It has nothing to do with Judaism. It's just
No,
purely
I haven't.
about the
But I've
West.
heard some of a bit of this theory before about Northern Europeans and some of their proclivities. I've heard him espouse it before. I've heard him espouse it like the country, like the tribal, coastal city dwellers and like country dwellers in Northern Europe versus the Middle East and Mediterranean. Pardon me.
Go for a second
Yeah.
go around.
Of course. I mean, Kaufman's, you know, he got his degree at Oxford. I mean, you come on. I mean, you can't. I mean, like, all he needs to do is whip out his degree from Oxford University, and let's be honest, he wins the debate.
I mean, I
what
think
could be
it's
more
funny,
prestigious
like,
than Oxford University?
Like, it's funny because like Kaufman would probably agree with K-Mac's new book. Like, I don't think there's anything that Kaufman would probably disagree with.
In fact, K-Mac is going to get his Kaufman fellowship at Oxford soon.
Rocking around the Kaufman
His
tree at the
critique,
Kaufman
Party hop.
K-Mac and Kaufman making their critiques at the Kaufman
What's
party
this?
hop.
What's this, JJ? Hold on.
That's a beautiful song that you made there. It almost mirrors the Christmas songs that Jews made back in the 1960s.
You make a good point about Kyle, what his meritocracy is aimed at. Not very clear, though it seems that technology and military is a favorite objective, and it hasn't quite gotten around to the ever richer experience yet. Just saying that's standard.
Don't you think it lines up with neoconservatism to a large degree, though, Daniel? Like, especially you were talking about like the military focus and stuff like that.
Well, I associate militarism more with neoliberalism, but it can work with neoconservatism as well. I believe.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just saying, Olaf Anderson says, hello, fellow fellows. Ashley Bravo says, Eric Stryker and Mike Enoch accuse Nathan Kaufman of being astroturfed and funded by wealthy national conservatives like Peter Thiel. And let's see, Alex says, apparently they also praise him as in-group evolutionary strategy beyond a reasonable doubt, and he's irrelevant in all his research for now.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Neoconservative. What was I thinking? I was thinking you were saying Paleocon. Yeah. It's very much a neoconservative kind of thing.
Yeah.
I haven't had my coffee yet. I better go get some. Speaking of that,
Is it an early morning over there in Europe, or late night?
5:22. I just woke up.
Oh, okay. We should get Olaf Anderson on the call. Please come on the call, sir. Babs,
What anime is this from?
what the hell are you watching, dude?
Travis Scott slowed down with reverb. Don't you like it? Look at it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about living in Poland?
I'm getting coffee still. Be right back.
I think we need some African American representation on the call. I think Quantrell Bishop should come on.
Well, if it isn't Stella J. Adler, how have you been, mate?
One sec, let me set up my mic.
James M needs to come on the call. Please, we want to hear your input, please.
Favorite part about living in Poland? Well, of course, there's very few blacks and other non-whites.
The favorite part about living in Poland is that it soothes your xenophobia. What exactly about it that stresses you out about them? Can you tell me more about what particular stresses arise when you're surrounded by groids?
By who?
Groids.
Oh.
How does it feel?
Well,
Feels like you can't truly be yourself.
hyper-assertiveness, lack of impulse control, general arrogance, propensity for violence. I mean, need I say more? I don't relish the prospect of sharing women with them. It's like I don't see it as a good exchange.
How's it going, everyone?
Stella, it's good to see you back. Haven't been on the Luke Ford show much, I see.
Nah, I kind of left that circle.
Oh yeah, what's been going on, mate? What do you think may make that change? I'm curious.
What made me make the change? Did we lose him? Hello? Is anyone there?
I'm here.
Did we lose Babs?
Babs just made a devastating critique of Quantrell Bishop in the chat.
I'm right here. Oh my god, it's Vedic Thinker. How you been, Vedic Thinker? Have you had any Vedic thoughts lately?
I just wanted to come say hey to my boy Daniel S.
Is that Brundlefly?
Yeah.
No, it's Vedic. It's
Dude,
Vedic.
I knew you were at least 30% Jewish. You're on this panel.
Oh, he's trying to. He's still doing this disinformation thing.
What do you mean? You were on my stream.
Joking.
You were on my stream.
Okay, but still, it's not true. It's disinformation.
So what percentage is it?
300.
Two readings at 3%.
It says greater than 3%, right?
No, it did not say greater than 3%. It said 3%.
It said no. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
What's going on, Babs?
As far as why I haven't been around Ford so much, mostly it's just I've been busy, but also I got kind of aggravated with some of his dogma. And Kyle, obviously. Kyle always got under my skin.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the deal breaker for me was his position that
and this might be
This is the
weird.
Luke Ford Trauma Recovery Circle. Everyone, share your story, and I'll tell you how I affirm you. Listen, I affirm you for sharing. I affirm you for sharing. Brundle, Fly, and Stellar, please talk about your stories.
Well, the deal breaker for me was his association or link between intelligence and morality. That's just so fundamentally false that I couldn't even figure out how to argue with him. It's just
Oh yeah.
so
100%
some
agree.
of the most immoral people I know are highly intelligent.
Yeah, I agree. I think the conflation of one's ability to be a productive unit in any given system is being conflated with a virtue is kind of bullshit. Hold on 1 second.
Good point. Intelligence makes
Someone in
you being more terrible.
Yeah. Alex Lang says, has Peter Thiel ever had any interest in Zionism or anti-Semitism? He's a weird techno-libertarian. And I agree, but I do think Thiel is interested in, potentially interested in talking about HP. Yeah. So to anyone who said in the chat. But yeah, Luke Ford, Kyle just started a Discord, by the way. But in terms of Luke Ford trauma recovery.
Oh God, how did I get in there?
Yeah. Luke Ford trauma recovery. Ichi. I'd like you to share your story. Then then we're going to go from right to left. So Ichi, Brundle, Stellar J, Mike, and then Daniel. We're going to share our stories about how Luke Ford traumatized you. All right, Ichi.
Well, I just realized that it was kind of pointless and that I wasn't getting anything out of it. I don't feel traumatized, just disappointed. That's it.
All right, next for you, Mr. Vedic Thinker.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed too, and also mainly disappointed in myself because I'd been forewarned.
Well, you thought he would drop you like an old dusty sock. Sorry, go ahead, Ichi.
I just wanted to say that's actually kind of a big thing when you think about it, because if you... Okay, this is going to sound really fucked up, so please just bear with me for a minute on this one. You kind of went along with the fib.
Yeah, for a while. I bought in.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of the same things. So I'm not pointing fingers and saying, oh, ho, ho, tut, tut, tut. I'm not saying that in the least. I'm just saying that is, once you realize that, you're like, oh, shit. I fucking got had. Yeah, exactly. It sucks. So I get it. That's all I'm saying. I get it.
Well, for me, I think it's another large part of it was realizing, and this isn't, I'm not trying to attack Luke Ford here, but realizing what a narcissist he is. I think he misses the attention he got from his time in the porn industry, and he saw the controversy of this taboo new right-wing movement as another thing to latch onto and try to gain a little bit of the spotlight again. And that to me was distasteful, because when I originally came across Luke Ford, I thought he was coming to the conversation honestly and with an open mind. Like I thought he was truly an open-minded and curious person who just wanted to entertain far out ideas, and I don't think that's the case anymore.
I also felt like he was a white guy too, and I think I felt like he sympathized. I mean, there's many times he expressed like many of the same concerns, and he would acknowledge Jewish power and influence and
poisonous snakes.
And then it just, poisonous snakes. But in a way that, like, I don't think I ever thought I never thought he hated Jews, but I just felt like, he sympathized. Right, because in order to give a fair shake, you sort of have to implicitly sympathize, or so you would think. Because to everybody that...
Unless you're trying to get your audience or your panel to open up and say things they wouldn't otherwise say.
Yeah, can you do a Sieg Heil for us on camera, please? Come on with OV fuck you with a Nazi flag in the background, please. Thank you.
I don't see Kyle.
Ov, I love your optics.
Ov, I love your optics. All right, next up we've got Mark Miller and Daniel Sienkiewicz, or something like that, to tell us about Sienkiewicz, to tell us about how Luke Ford has traumatized them and their traumatic experiences of being betrayed by Luke Ford in a willful consensual act of being lied to.
He embarrassed Daniel when Daniel came on his show the first time. He embarrassed himself.
Wait a minute, I'll speak for myself. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm just telling you. That's where I would start if I were you. The damage he did to you.
Well, okay. Thanks for your advice, and no thanks.
All right. Well, can you answer then in your own words?
Okay, he didn't. No, he didn't embarrass me. He did have a gang of hostile people waiting in the chat, and I wasn't quite aware that they would be that hostile. Especially the Christians like you.
You mean like his entire audience?
Yeah, but well, I didn't expect the white people, the Christians, to be so antagonistic as they were, like Hollywood.
Well, you should have been. You should have been so antagonistic.
I thought that it was going to be me talking, and not you explaining my experience for me. This is ridiculous.
Well, okay. Sorry, my bad.
All right.
Your humor, Brundle.
This is my first time at the Lucanon meeting, and so I'm here to share my hope, strength.
All right, we have to affirm each other and stay positive. All right.
So let go of Luke and let God. That's my experience.
All right. Listen, you have to remember there is no listen. We have to remember there are Lukes inside of our control and Lukes outside of our control. We cannot attempt to change Lukes outside of our control. Mr. Miller, do you have anything to share before I ask Mr. Brundle and Mr. Sienkiewicz a question about your willing betrayal at the hands of Luke Ford? Why did you let yourself get betrayed by Luke Ford?
I mean, I never got betrayed by Luke Ford. I was the first one to basically try and get everyone to boycott the show when it basically changed, and I saw it becoming dishonest.
Why is your latent? Is it your latent anti-Semitism? It's the fact that you can't stand people more successful than you who has houses in the Beverly Hills.
No, I would say there was a change in the style of argumentation that was just more leaning towards popularity or appearing friendly for optical solutions or whatever, rather than actually telling the truth. So that's when I stopped watching as much.
Yeah,
but I actually think people say Nathan Kaufness killed the show, but I actually think that the Kaufness saga was actually kind of fun.
I think the best part.
Luke Ford killed Nathan Kaufness's entire career. Everyone was irrational with him. They were citing all their facts about Luke's alleged racism from Nathan Kaufness, about Nathan's alleged racism from Luke's tweets, saying things like Nathan Kaufness is quote unquote the king of the alt-right or something to
Yeah, but I think what killed the show was honestly Kyle's abrasive personality, pretty much. After that,
I disagree.
Everyone stopped watching.
I disagree. I don't think it was Kyle. I think it was Luke's constant pandering to Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle was actually quite entertaining, and he would have been an interesting addition to the show if Luke didn't constantly shield Kyle, and even against Kevin. There were so many times where Mr. Grace had to literally bite his tongue or got talked over because he started getting too critical of the nonsense that Kyle would spout.
Yeah, sometimes Luke would even reach over and bite Kevin's tongue for him when he wasn't shutting up. Yeah.
He would intentionally change the subject, like Kyle had the final word. Act exasperated that Kevin was making the same argument against Kyle again. And I totally agree. It was his embrace of Kyle, because what it implied was that everything before was bullshit. How could you be 90% in agreement with Kyle? Kyle's a fucking neocon. You don't have to be a Jew hater to be disgusted with neocons. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. Mr. Daniel.
I got an important question. Who misses frame game?
Go ahead.
Who misses frame game?
I miss frame game.
Me too.
Frank
Yeah,
Game kept me from being an anti-Semite. I'll
He
be
was a
honest.
good man. He was a good man.
Yeah, me too.
He was a good Jew.
Yeah. Quick question. Glib
He was
Medley.
probably the best Jew. Do we think he was the best Jew?
I think he's the best Jew I ever met.
I'm Mr.
Sorry, Adam.
Reactionary Jew. I'm Mr. Reactionary Jew. But I wanted to say, Glib Medley in the
you're just a
chat says,
clone. You're just a space-time DCR clone, which prevents you
yeah.
from being the
Well,
greatest
Spacetime
Jew.
DCR is basically, and I are like the next generation Jew posters of the in the kind of like reactionary Jew type tradition, that aesthetic.
Next-gen Jew posters.
Yeah, but I have a quick question before I move on to Philip Daniel and ask him if he has any residual trauma from the Luke Ford show. I'd like to quickly, Glib Medley in the chat says that discussing the Ford show is passé now. We've moved past the age of the Ford show, and now everyone's talking about Galatians. So before we move on to that, and my next question, I want to ask Philip Daniel, have you experienced any trauma from the Luke Ford show? Has Luke traumatized you? We're sharing. This is a circle of sharing.
Philip Daniel?
All right, I suppose not.
Me.
Anyway, Mr. Fly and Mr. Sienkiewicz, quick question. I know that you two have been having a bit of a tiff lately, and I was wondering what's that about. Where exactly did that begin? What exactly is going on right now? Why is there any beef between the eminent Mr. Fly
Can I
and
speak
the
first, or is it going to be him?
you-
Who talks?
You can speak.
Between who and
Mr.
who?
Sienkiewicz, you can speak first, then Mr. Fly. You go second.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I didn't seek out any particular beef with him. He's recently come onto a few hangouts where I was in order to hassle me a bit, and apparently he's been behind prompting some of the hassle of me because I'm not a Christian and I'm anti-Christian, and that's like really a big thing for him to promote Christianity. So
You just described yourself as anti-Christian.
Yes, I am.
Like the Antichrist. Why do you think there's hostility, dude? It doesn't have anything to do with me.
Right. Like I don't mind people who aren't.
No.
Christian.
I'm talking about. No, wait. I'm talking about Brundlefly's motive.
No,
Not-
you described
not
yourself, and then you
Antichrist.
confirmed. You just confirmed that you were describing
Yes,
yourself
I'm
as
against
anti-Christian.
Christianity. So what? A lot of people
Okay.
are,
Right.
Yeah, well, that's
and I surmise that that's why he is coming after me. I'm not seeking him out
I'm
to
not-
get a hard time.
You know what? I'm not even giving you a hard time, dude. Like, come on, I crack a couple
Yes,
jokes.
yeah, of course you are. You're
You-
30% Jewish. Not that I care that much, but especially not that I know where you're coming
you,
from.
You do
That
care.
it's
You
you
do care.
that's doing
You
this.
do care.
Come on,
Because-
Daniel. That's just funny. Like, don't
It's
take it so serious.
it's not really funny. But
It is
I don't.
funny. Come on, Daniel.
No,
You
it's
are-
not
you are
because
admitted to being-
some people are going to
If you
believe
didn't-
it's. You
if
know
you
that
didn't
it's
react, it wouldn't be
disinformation.
funny.
And some
No,
people are
the
gonna, like,
reason
kind of, like,
I said
crap
you're
people.
greater than the reason I said you're probably greater than 30% is because you go, I'm greater than 3%, which leaves up a lot of
All right,
room.
but you see, you're still doing it. You're
There's a
still
lot of
doing it.
numbers.
You
There's
know
a
what
lot
you're
of
doing.
numbers that are greater than 3%.
If you didn't react, it wouldn't be funny, man.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Daniel,
I was glad that, if I didn't react, it wouldn't be funny. It's not funny anyway, but it's just like it's just disinformation because he tries to interrupt me when I'm making a point that doesn't say that Christianity is the way for the salvation of the white race.
Daniel.
Brundlefly.
I mean, you're the one that's like quibbling. You think like the distinction between left and right is like the fucking magic key.
Yes,
that's
I
gonna unlock this
do.
whole
It's very important.
I've met enough non-Christian whites to know that
They're our greatest enemy.
it's just gross.
Okay, yeah, well that's your assessment.
Appreciate
I don't
that,
agree
bro.
with it. There's going to be Christians and there's going to be non-Christians. I'm addressing
Well,
the
of course.
non-Christian whites. So I'm talking to the
there's
people
going to
who
be
don't want
civilization
Christianity.
and non-civilization. Always
Well,
has
okay, but yeah, a lot of people who are civilized are not Christians, and you're going to have to accept that just as well. And I talk to them, and
yeah, I call them Japanese.
Well,
They're quite nice,
there,
actually.
well, there are plenty of white people who are not Christians.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I'm not.
You know what? You know what
I
we
think,
call
I think,
them?
hold up. I'll defend Daniel here. Most people who are in Europe, they aren't Christians. I mean, that's just a fact. Like,
Yeah, but we're not European.
yeah, we are. We are European.
No, we're Americans.
American.
And
Well,
man,
I-
we
I'm
made the
kidding.
same
Daniel,
sin.
Daniel,
Kyle
can you please
posting now,
explain your
Brundle?
vision of the
Are we Are we Kyle posting now? Like we're all just Americans?
The
No,
most-
no. American
most
white. I'm
based-
white American.
Okay.
I'm
The
white
most
American.
based and stable and white countries in Europe are still majority Christian. That's a fact.
Yeah, but
Like
a lot of
Latvia.
the like Russia, for example, it's not that religious. It's heavily nationalist.
They're not even white.
Right?
All right.
That's a misnomer too.
They're not even nationalists.
Russia is actually massively growing in their Orthodox Christianity.
Yeah, they're growing.
And they have
but
been
that
for
doesn't mean the
decades.
majority, like most Russians, are atheists.
Do they also have enormous minorities?
do you know
and
Russians?
an empire.
Yeah, well, I don't have to know Russians to know that like most Russians are atheists.
Mr. Sienkiewicz, please
Well,
please explain the DNA
I
nation.
personally know 3 Russians who lived in the United States and Russia, and they tell a different story. So
Well, Matt Vey, you could ask Matt Vey in chat. I mean, he's been to Russia, so I can object with that anecdote
Right.
too. But go ahead. So
I was
I'm
just
not going to say most Russians are Christian, but a large portion of them are, and Christianity still influences Russian society to an extent. Probably, I would argue more than it does the U.S. That was my point. Russia is more Christian than the U.S.
You think?
Yes.
See, kind of like, to be quite honest, you ever wonder, like, because like where I live, everybody goes to church, right? Where I used to live, nobody went to church. And yes, we're united politically and things happen between us that affect each other. But it is like a totally different world. And have you ever like wonder like why we let statistical data about some of our traits like affect us so much? Like I was thinking this the other day, man. It's like I can't do anything about any of this. You know, like whatever's going to happen on a data chart or whatever is completely outside of my control.
Right.
And in the meantime, like, what is my contribution to the data set going to look like? You know what I mean? On my micro level and the people around me. And I just think like getting
Well, it's
worked up about
ripples.
this shit. Well, there is.
See that's where I've changed is I don't get worked up about this shit anymore. But then
Yeah.
I've changed quite a bit, honestly, in the last 6 months. I think, you know, a pebble ripples the pond. You know, you all you can do is affect your own life and the people around you, and be the change. Like I know that sounds cliche, but you can affect yourself. You can affect your family to an extent. You can affect your community.
Yeah. And
Sorry
you
to
can't,
go
and
yen, but
No, I know. It's almost like you got to get your micro right before you can even think to go macro. You know what I mean?
let's just say I gave up. I gave up the Ford show and I became a bear.
That's cool.
That probably lose me the few fans I've got, but I don't really mind.
No, it's all good.
I actually
I watch. You know who I watch all the time?
I think Owen's really great, and I think his message is positive. I got a chance to meet him in person, and he's a great guy.
No, I never really disliked him. I mean, I clowned him because you know who the guys I like the most right now is Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
the guys
I
that-
told you months ago that you'd fit in well there.
Dude, they're hilarious. I've talked to Royce too. I would love to get Royce on something, but I think it's gonna be a hard sell.
has anyone watched the Bronze Age Pervert podcast? That's been my favorite thing since dropping the Ford show.
I've
No.
followed him, but I've not caught his podcast.
You guys
I
need to
don't
check
think.
that shit out. It's amazing.
So Daniel, Brundlefly. Just to go back to what I was saying earlier, just to wrap up that conversation.
I need more drama.
I just want to wrap. No, I just want to wrap that conversation up quickly. Alternating visions. I'm curious because I know Brundlefly, you've progressed from where you were initially. Like, what kind of vision do you have, Brundle, and what kind of vision do you currently have, Daniel? Is it the same as you were articulating to me a few months ago when we first started talking?
I consider myself to be an anti-Danielarian. Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah. Oh, are
pretty
you an own Benjamitarian right now?
An Owen Benjitarian. No, I'm like.
No, that's my role.
You mean like my third hand Logos? My third hand Logos cult? No, but I don't know, dude. I don't really want like the government up my ass. I just want like fucking illegals out of here. I want like the dignity of like being able to like enforce our laws, whether it's the migrant situation or this gray area when it comes to marijuana laws and shit. Like we just need to get serious about instead of like using corruption and bureaucratic red tape to like, I don't know, change the laws and everything. I don't know, man. I think I'm like, I was honestly, I've been thinking about like putting up a retirement video on YouTube.
Because you're weak, Brundle. You've fallen off the
I'm like,
or whatever
man,
they say. Because you've been defeated by Kyle, and here he is right now to laugh at your
is he here now?
quirks.
Oh God, is he here?
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Roland is here to deliver the coup de grace.
Oh yeah, the coup de grace.
Skipping or whatever.
Yeah, the stream is really fucked up, so I couldn't stand the stuttering on the stream, so I joined the hangout so I could hear the conversation properly.
You are welcome.
I'm in a chill
Kyle.
mood today.
I fear no evil.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Then you have nothing to fear, Brundle. You can retire peacefully, slink away into the sunset. Why retire though, Brundle? You're a guiding light. They needed you.
I don't think I have.
Remember,
I don't think I have anything left to say, man.
Remember the Brundle age?
Yeah, I remember the Brundle age. I'll always have it. I guess I decided, like the one. I don't know. There's not that much left to talk about, man. And I can't do the things I want to do. So, like at some point in the future, probably, but not right now. When the election gets closer.
What do you mean you can't do what you want to do?
Well, I just don't have. I can't be notorious. So like, I want to get Adam Green on.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And I just can't. I can't risk that shit anymore. I'm just not motivated enough. Like I've talked to who I want to talk to. And I like everybody, but I feel like these streams come on, it just has the whole scene is degraded to like personal drama. And the topics just aren't interesting anymore.
I just come on to bullshit.
I know.
I don't even notice drama and shit because I don't care about it.
Well, I end up in it. I mean, by choice. But it is what it is. It's how I operate. So.
Fair enough. Everything's a stage, you know. You're at a point right now where you need to be doing something else.
Yeah, exactly. Because I just don't like all the topics have been talked about. Like, there's nothing new. There's nothing exciting. There's like Trump and Pelosi, like impeachment wars, and it's like when you have the president about to be impeached and you don't even care. It's like kind of like, wow, this is. Like,
he's not going to be impeached. It's all nonsense.
I know, but like that we're actually going down this road. I mean, this road doesn't happen very often.
I think it's actually important in the sense that I think the Democrats, and I hate talking about Democrat, Republican, blah, 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 but You know what I mean when I say Democrats, but like they've so overstepped their bounds, and yet at the same time, there are factions forming that I don't see where the reconciliation comes from. Like,
Well, I think they might get him, dude. They're manufacturing they're manufacturing polls.
It
Oh, I'm
doesn't
just
matter.
assuming they're manufacturing. But the thing is, all they have to do is get like these fucking Mitt Romney type senators to just be like, oh, I can't defend him.
You don't understand the Trump Meister. Like, and I'm not
Are you gonna
Trump
4D chest
posting.
me?
No, I'm not Trump posting here. I'm saying Trump is bigger than Trump.
Oh, I agree with that.
Like, Trump doesn't matter. Trump matters. Like, Trump is a movement that has nothing to do with Trump. And, well, not nothing, but Trump could be guilty as hell, or at least they could frame him in such a way that they satisfy.
Am I the only one that can't hear anybody?
No, I can't hear him either.
Base demands that Trump is an abhorrent abomination and must cease. And yet, if they do, it all falls apart. Like, that's what I meant when I said I don't see where the reconciliation comes from. Because if they do remove Trump, then there's no coming together again at all. It's done. I truly believe that. And, you know, what comes after that, that's anybody's guess. But they're up shit creek without a paddle. They have nowhere to turn because they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting what happens. I think like Elizabeth Warren so perfectly, like typifies or embodies, like the angry cat lady voter base. White
Elizabeth
woman voter
Warren
base.
just said that she would get advice from a 9-year-old transgender on a cabinet appointee. Like, what the actual hell?
Bro, this is
You
this is
think that's gonna
the
sell to
fucking
the
millennial
average
version.
American?
Yeah, hell yeah. Of course it will. Jimmy
No,
Carter did
no,
that with asking his 12-year-old daughter about nuclear war. Of course it will.
No, it won't. No, not anymore. It won't sell to the Americans.
Yeah, well, you
Well, the real Americans.
overestimate their cynicism. You overestimate their cynicism.
Okay, we'll see.
Placid,
I'm not gonna
they are
get
placid,
upset that you don't
overweight
agree with
cows.
me.
They are placid, overweight cows sucking on high carbohydrate and carbonated corn syrup drinks all day. They will believe whatever they're fucking told. If a 9-year-old transgender they're trying to fix the economy and make America great better than Donald Trump, they'll buy that like this.
No, they won't. Oh boy.
Oh, by the way, is Mike the Doxer here?
What's up,
Oh,
Rondo?
he
What's
is in
it?
this hangout. There's this Mike
Who?
guy that doxed Olaf.
Mike
But-
doxed somebody?
Mike the Jew, that's OV's co-host
Yeah.
on the bisexual tattooed Nazi stream of Southern California.
Mike the Nazi, yeah, I just came in so I could hear better.
Yeah. Well, I just thought everybody should know what Mike does.
Yep.
And he hangs with OV, so OV, birds of a feather, bro. Birds of a feather.
Hey, I try to let OV know. I'm sure.
Appreciate your concern, bro.
They're not gonna fucking remove Trump. What fucking dude? What are you smoking?
You don't
Who,
think
are
so?
you talking to me? That's what I just
Nobody's
said.
moving Trump.
That's election. Like they don't have a candidate. The closest this is my dark horse theory, okay? A lot of people are saying this is my outside shot at Trump maybe losing. A lot of people are saying that Bernie is going to drop out because of the heart attack, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're saying that his supporters are going to go to Elizabeth Warren. That's not my experience. Most of the Bernie people that I know hate Elizabeth Warren. My prediction, and it's a outside prediction. I'm not saying this is guaranteed to happen. It's a long shot, but I think there is a chance that Bernie Sanders supporters are going to get behind Andrew Yang, and that will throw a monkey wrench into everything. If Bernie supporters jump behind Yang, that changes the game.
I think it's Warren.
White niggers on welfare. Get the fuck out of here. It ain't gonna happen.
But I think what Kyle says makes sense unless you consider the possibility that, you know, the left is like so blinded in their hatred of him that maybe they think they can like bring this to a head and like deliver some death blow to white America.
No way. No fucking
And
way.
these guys play chicken, and then we end up. I mean, you think the Civil War was like brought about by everybody? Like, you know, there was a misunderstanding of the game board, and that's how the shooting started.
It's pretty dangerous, but I would just say
close to that.
It is, but I mean, it's a serious game to like be having impeachment proceedings. These don't happen frequently. They're very contentious.
What do you mean it did that? It happened in the 90s with Clinton.
Yeah,
and
it was not
what
good.
happened when the Republicans indicted Clinton and impeached Clinton, he won with a landslide re-election. And Trump will win with a landslide re-election because he has been blessed with the stupidest fucking enemies on God's green earth.
Well, I think
Wait.
the odds are in favor.
Are we hearing from an alternate universe where Bill Clinton won 3 terms?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but
Did
I do think Trump
indicted Bill Clinton? They indicted Bill Clinton on perjury, on federal perjury charges, right before the re-election, right before he got re-elected in '96. He signed welfare reform, and Jesse Jackson and every other fucking dindu lined up in front of a camera and screamed at the top of their lungs, "You're taking away our shit." And white America cheered, and he got back in. And Trump will do something similar. Just like now, all of a sudden, Trump is like, "Oh, fuck Jared Kushner. He's an idiot. The prison reform was a bad idea. This, that, and the other. Let's get back on the border." And everyone's like, "Wow, the old Trump is back. The old back." Yeah, the old Trump is back just in time to win re-election. And then right after November 4th, 2020, you're going to get Ivanka or Javanka or whatever the fuck you had for the first 3 fucking years. And if you can't fucking see that, you are dumber than a bag of fucking hammers.
But I think what's being neglected is just Trump's movements and how they inspired this democratic response. He's going after the investigation on it.
You are like the fucking... Listen, dude, you have never fucking gone up against anybody who could actually fucking argue.
Yeah, and you're not going to be the one to change that, James. But the issue
Fucking
is
A,
that
I will.
you're not considering...
Why do you fucking silence me in the chat? Why do you silence me in the chat, you fucking...
I don't know. Maybe you're one of those random dipshits who said something stupid in the chat, so I muted you. I didn't even know it was you.
Don't make me defend
You
Kyle
fucking
here,
faggot-ass lying cunt.
Shut the fuck
What's
up,
that?
you moron. I don't give a fuck about you, bitch. Go fuck yourself.
Oh. Listen, 3 passport boy.
You old
a
fucking
typical
man.
fucking
Go
Jew
fuck yourself.
who couldn't
You
fucking
can't count,
who
huh?
couldn't fucking
Can't
invent
count. Typical
couldn't
fucking
invent
moron.
gravity.
Can't count. Go fuck yourself, bro. But as
How
I
can I
was saying
count?
before this
How can I
fucking
count?
mongoloid interrupted
You waste every breath
Shut
you
the
take.
fuck up, you Down syndrome bitch. Fuck you, you little rat. I don't give a fuck about you. Go fuck
Down
yourself. You
syndrome.
old.
Are you
Go fuck
fucking
your old
high?
wife, bitch. Go fuck your
I'm
regular
gonna
old
do. I'm
wife,
gonna
you
find
little
out what
shit.
you go
Fuck
to,
you.
and everyone's gonna see this. Everyone's
Fuck
gonna
you and go
see you.
fuck yourself. I don't give a
against
fuck about you. Everyone's
Everyone-
gonna
I'm
see
gonna
what a
use
fucking
your
little shit you
career.
are. What a
I'm
little
gonna
shit you
destroy
are.
your
You're such a
career.
little shit. Go
Everyone's-
fuck yourself. I knew I was gonna have a good time. I knew
Ivy League
that there would be
school
someone who'd give me
that
a good
you
time on
think
this
you're
stream,
fucking
even if
going
Brundle
to.
was tired.
We're gonna find
Even
out
if
who
Brundle
you
was
are.
tired.
We're gonna
Even
find
if
out your
Brundle
real
was tired.
name. We're gonna find out your
Shut
real
the
name.
fuck up.
Your real
no,
name.
you're not. You're
We're
not
gonna find
gonna
out
do
your real
shit.
name, and
Shut
then
the
we're gonna show
fuck
them these
up.
streams.
You threatening little
And
bitch.
all these
You're an
all these
you.
high
Go
end
Hey
people.
James.
fuck
Hey
yourself.
The
James.
one
Hey
percenters,
James.
Who's the
percenters,
doxer here,
Hey
huh?
James.
Who's
right?
the doxer
The
here?
one
Who's
percenters,
the
we're gonna
doxer
give
here,
you
James?
a
doxing
career.
people.
Who's
Okay,
the
the
fucking
one percenters,
fuck
we're gonna give you
Hey
a
James,
career.
you
I'm
mouthy
gonna
piece
say
of
you
shit.
failed against a
Hey
10th grade
James.
dropout.
Go
You failed
fuck
against a
yourself.
10th grade
Go
dropout.
fuck
Hey
That
yourself,
James.
shows
you
the
fucking
level.
moron. Go
That shows
fuck
the
yourself.
level of your mental.
Go
mental
kiss your wrinkled old
development.
wife, old man. Why the fuck are you on internet stream with the fucking Zoomers? Why are you on an internet stream with
Hey,
the fucking
because I
Zoomers?
work a fu-
Hey James.
because I
Go fuck yourself. I don't give a fuck about
Hey
you.
James,
Because
you
you work,
drunk
that's
old
why you're
piece
here on a
of
stream with the
shit.
Zoomers. Doesn't make any sense.
We're having a conversation here, James. You want to go get drunk, piss off?
No, we're not.
You're an
No,
embarrassment.
we're actually not.
You're a
Who's
fucking
that- who's
embarrassment.
saying that? Wow. Sorry to fucking embarrass you, but I'm glad to fucking disappoint you. Now go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. You're a waste of fucking time.
I wasn't even talking to you, you stupid fucking retard.
And I'm talking to you, you
I'm
little
talking to the
fucking
other
bitch.
guy.
Fuck you. Go kiss your wrinkled old wife.
Yeah,
Go
James,
fuck yourself.
James, you were talking to me. Like we're having a conversation, and you jump in here like a loudmouth, low IQ thug, talking.
That's
all
what I
kinds of
am.
shit.
That's what I am.
Like you're some
100%.
badass.
Now beat me
No,
in an
you're
argument.
not.
Now pick
No,
a
you're
subject to
not.
argue with
No,
and
you're
beat me in an
not.
argument. Beat me in an
You don't
argument.
argue.
Beat
You
me in
just
an argument
insult.
and
You
prove
don't
that
You
I'm
just
low
make it into a
IQ.
shit fight because that's
You're
all
not
you know
an
how to
arguing
do.
anything.
Beat me in an
All you know how to
argument.
do it. All you know how to do
think
is
that
sling
you
shit,
can go
James,
faster
and
and
we ain't
louder and
buying
longer
it.
than I can.
We ain't
with
buying
more
it, James. We don't
IQ,
give a
and you
fuck about your
cannot.
little game, James. We don't give a fuck about your little game, your little
Having an
AMOG
argument with a
shit game.
loudmouth
Go
drunk
kiss your
one.
old wrinkled
like
wife,
you,
James.
it's like
Go get
playing
Go fuck
chess
your.
with a
one in your
fucking
We don't
chicken.
care
still
about
gonna
your
fail.
game.
One in your
We ain't
still
intimidated.
gonna fail.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, James. Two against one. How
against
about you
one,
grow a fucking
and
brain and make an
you're
argument
still
instead of
gonna
saying
fail.
debate me. Make an argument.
Two
I
against
made
one,
a
and
point.
you're
Make a
still
counterpoint.
gonna fail.
Make a
Have no
counterpoint, James.
argument.
You
Make
don't
a
have an
counterpoint,
argument
no
James.
either. You're
thinking.
just a loud
You're
mouth.
What's your
Preaching
argument? What's your
little
argument, James, you
faggots.
fucking moron?
Little male,
I said that
little
we should consider
faggot.
that Trump's actions actually
Screeching
did
liberal
inspire this
faggot.
Democratic
Who the
response.
fuck do you think
That
you're
doesn't mean that I
talking
like the
to?
Democratic response, but Trump's actions did inspire it.
Dude, you're a fucking joke.
Now, counter argument. Where's the counter argument?
You ever received in your entire
Who the
life
fuck is this?
What's
was
your
a
faggot?
fucking
paper
counter
cut.
argument, James? No one gives a fuck about your little show and dance, you fucking retard faggot. No one cares about your show. Go fuck yourself.
James is why we can't have white supremacy. Stupid fuck.
James is such a fucking moron. Putting on a little show and dance instead of making an argument. Sad.
I can't believe I'm fucking defending Kyle. Jesus fucking Christ.
But anyway, like, the argument might be interesting. I mean, I do think that Trump did inspire this response by going after CrowdStrike, because that's the investigation against him. And that means that there could be criminal prosecutions for those who investigated him. So they want position on him. They want to make him out to be a criminal when he's making them out to be a criminal. It's like a tit for tat thing. I think that's
Right,
a big part of the
he's flipping
situation.
the tables on them and showing that they're guilty of exactly what they're accusing him of. And it's gonna, like I said, the Democrats' base are gonna go with them, and Trump's base is gonna go with him. It's like it's just picking sides at this point, and that's where I see major division coming. Is people are just picking teams. They don't really care anymore who's right or wrong. They're just picking a side, and that's dangerous.
Yep. Well, I agree that it's entirely partisan. I don't think that that's new, though. I think that was the case in the Clinton case as well. But yeah, I agree. It's entirely partisan down the line. It's not about the facts. It's just about political positioning, and that's a dangerous thing to do with matters of
Right,
of
but there's
things that send people to
there's a
prison.
different angle. There's a different aspect to this. It wasn't really there, at least not openly with the Clinton thing, and that's that there's blatant interference by the FBI, the CIA, like financial interests. Trump's base is going to lose their shit if this actually turns into anything, because they're going to see it as a deliberate and illegitimate coup, just like Trump keeps spouting, oh, it's a coup, it's a witch hunt, it's a coup, it's a witch hunt. Trump's base is going to believe that, and there's no fixing that if they go down that road.
I think it's
That's
going to
a different
be.
aspect.
I don't think it's going to help either side very much. I think that, as you say, it inspires Trump's base. I think it also inspires the Dem base as well. I don't think that it's going to have like a huge asymmetric effect, but I hope that you're right. I hope that it has an asymmetrical effect that helps Trump. But personally, I don't see it. I think it's going to rile up both bases.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's riling up both bases, but I'm saying it's not just partisan anymore. It's I don't even know how to put it into words. It's much more serious than just partisan politics. That's the point I'm making. It's a true division of the country. There's it's the country breaking into factions, not left versus right.
Oh, here comes the retard.
I mean, if you disagree, tell me why. I mean, if you're just gonna shout and yell and laugh like a fucking drunk ass old fucking boomer, then you can piss off. Yeah, James has nothing of value to add.
Yeah, there are two things that are different, I think. One is that the respect in government is down to levels that are almost
Right.
unheard of, and then also the polarization is up to levels that are higher than any time except before the Civil War, if I recall correctly. But that being said, we're also in a climate, ironically, or for some people unexpectedly, of relatively low political violence compared to, say, the 60s and 70s. I know it seems like a lot now, but
That's
compared
true.
to the 60s.
The 60s and 70s were much worse, and most people forget that.
Right. And so, like, these forces are fighting against each other, and I think that my position, which is a heterodox one in these circles, is that order tends to prevail, and that we're probably going to have, like, election after election, despite the fact that we're in a new world of polarization and hatred of one another.
Do you know how many people don't believe me when I tell them that during the civil rights movement, blacks nearly burned down D.C.? Like, they don't even know this happened.
People are shockingly ignorant of history. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah,
And
there was a
literal
huge amount of
race
violence.
riots.
Yeah. Like when MLK got shot, I mean, it was insane.
You mean when the FBI shot MLK?
But yeah, I mean, that's political violence there. I mean, that was
Right.
some serious reckoning. But yeah, like the prison industrial complex, it's abhorrent, but it has shut down a lot of this. Like, it's so much more efficient than it used to be. They put people away for so long and so easily. Like, it's different, you know. The police are different. They're more militarized.
That's where I disagree. I think that was true until about 10 years ago, and now prisons are a revolving door. That's why crime's starting to go back up again. Turns out when you turn a nog loose after 3 violent crimes, he's gonna do a 4th.
I agree that we're yeah, it's problematic how the early release stuff is happening, but on the other hand, it's still not. We're still imprisoning way more people than we used to, and we still have way more efficient systems, especially for mass violence, right? If you look at the police now compared to the police back then, they just have way more professionalism when dealing with large violent situations.
Right. They figured out that if they let the left do whatever they want and punish every single right-wing person that steps their toe across the line, that they can maintain a semblance of order.
James, Ichi, Mike, Philip, and Daniel, if you have any thoughts on crime and punishment, feel free to chime in. Not to interrupt what you were saying, please continue as well, Kyle and Stellar. I'm curious to hear more of your thoughts too.
The only thing that I can say is that we're here in California. The crime is pretty fucking horrible. I will grant you that violent crime isn't all that high, but one of the problems is that we're basically defenseless. So
has there been 29 murders in the last 28 days in LA? Like, that's pretty high.
I wouldn't be surprised. I live in, okay, so I will admit, as of this moment, I do not go out into the papers to see what's out there. I probably should, but I'm getting ready to get the hell out of Los Angeles. Just within like a quarter mile of where I live, Yeah, there are like multiple homeless. Well, okay, maybe half a mile. There are multiple homeless camps, and there are
Oh yeah, they're all
helicopters
over
that.
California now.
Yeah, but I mean, there are sirens like every other night. The helicopters come by maybe once a week. I mean, it's really bad, really fucking bad.
Yep.
And to hear about the idea, or to hear about the assertion that there have been basically 2 dozen murders in a month, that doesn't shock me in the least. If you go further down south and east in Los Angeles, it's something else,
It's
man.
Juarez.
It's not America.
It's Juarez.
Yeah, it is actually. You're not far because they find
What's up, Bab?
going back and forth from Vegas. They find bodies all the time,
Right.
and those are the bodies that they find. That's to say nothing of the bodies that they don't find. This place is a fucking war zone. And it's like when I hear about, you know, the relatively low crime or whatever, it's like, yeah, the reported crime is not that high.
Reported crime is.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
I
not even
agree.
reporting a lot of the crimes anymore.
Correct. I mean, think about what is it? Dayton? No, not Dayton. I'm sorry. Fuck. There's that city in Florida where one of the shooters came from. I think it was. Fuck, I forgot which guy it was. It doesn't matter though. The point is that there's this. Yeah. Okay, here. I just want to finish. I'll be done in like 20 seconds. There's a county in Florida where
What
they
the fuck is
decided.
Jerko's talking about?
Okay, no, I'll be done in just a moment.
Broward County.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure that's the one. They redefined a lot of the crimes that underage people were committing as being nonviolent. And the reason for this is because this is some big scandal that everyone forgot about like a year and a half ago, where the mayor was trying to figure out ways to reduce the amount of crimes that were being committed by a certain segment of the population, especially those who are just in or coming out of high school. So they simply stopped reporting the crimes. And I mean, on paper, the crime rate got lower, but the problem is that everyone knew that the muggings, the beatings, just the riffraff bullshit was continuing. So the reported crime went down, but the actual, like, on the street experience was not a reduction in the least. This is my experience in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
So,
it's in a lot of places. Colin Flaherty has actually gone into a lot of detail on a lot of this.
yeah. Anyway, but that's it. I'm done. That's all.
You there, Daniel?
I'm here.
Oh, I just thought you were trying to interject, but I
No.
didn't hear you.
Although I did have to correct something that
Oh
Eki
my
said
God.
supposedly on my behalf in his last stream. Well, it's very short. He said that he agrees with me, unquote, that our enemies are not proposing liberalism. Well, that's not what I'm saying. They are proposing liberalism. The liberalism, as I mean,
It was
is
done by
a
Jews. That
neutral
was
term.
done by white people.
That. Oh, wait a minute. Can I finish a sentence? Liberalism is, as I apply it, is about
No,
opening
it hasn't.
towns and
It
borders,
hasn't done
and they are
fuck all.
doing
It
that.
hasn't done fuck
If there-
all.
Wait a minute. Can I finish the sentence?
That is bullshit.
It does run
It's
into a problem when you talk about
and unadulterated
My God
bullshit.
Almighty! Stop interrupting me! Liberalism, it does have the problem of having positive
Eki is
connotations
100% right.
applied to it.
Eki's right.
Oh my good God!
Here's the thing: police departments have learned from Rudy Giuliani.
No, he's not
in
right. Shut the fuck
1990.
up. I make consistent sense.
Police departments have
No,
learned
he's not right because my
Rudy Giuliani
because my
in the
framework makes
1990s
consistent
to lie
sense.
about the crime.
He's not right.
Okay.
Yeah, well, okay,
We are not imprisoning any more people.
You go
than we
by
have
your way.
to.
Don't.
And in fact, Trump has
No, he's not right. And
let
they are proposing
more
liberalism in the sense of
than
opening
ever
towns
have
and borders.
been. Can we
behave
Shut
like
up.
civilized
This guy's a
people?
waste of time.
Don't correct Eki Lux.
Can we take time? Can we take turns?
Don't even think about that. How dare you correct Eki Lux?
Can we please just
My
take
West
turns
Coast
talking?
bro.
I will correct Aki Lux if he's wrong, especially if he's interpreting me. It's like, how dare you correct him in an interpretation of what I'm saying? That's
I've been actually
ridiculous.
talking about this quite a bit.
If there's anything that I can be an expert on.
Here's where Kyle is wrong.
No, I just want to go ahead and God.
Kyle,
Police
department has learned. Police
I'll have to hear
department.
what this. Does anybody want to hear what this asshole have to say? Because I sure don't.
Oh, shut up! You don't
That's
have
what
nothing
I
to
stated.
say. You don't even have a.
Just
Yeah,
quiet.
I mean, this is not going to go anywhere, James.
Don't you have some bisexual encounters?
This is not going to go anywhere. You're just going to keep on getting into these dumbass fights.